Today we're going to be going over my top 10 spring designer fragrances for 2025. This is one of my favorite times of the year just because I can finally start getting into some of my fresh scent rotations again. It's something I miss. You know, I love my winter scents. The longer I've done this, the more I've gravitated towards heavy, sweet, more kind of rich and full-bodied scents, you know, all of your gourmands and stuff. But at the end of the day, my roots really were and still are fresh, aquatic, more summery scents. Now, we're not fully there yet. These are going to be more green, more aromatic, more spring-leaning for this time of year where it could be snowing like today, and just 1 or 2 days ago it was 80 degrees. So we've got a nice variety of things here that can kind of do it all. We're going to start down at the bottom of the list at number 10. And while these are kind of in an order, you know, I wouldn't take it to heart necessarily because depending on the day and what the weather's doing and what I'm in the mood for, these could shift drastically. But that first one is Invictus Parfum. So with these videos, seasonal lists, it's kind of what I'm looking forward to wearing and also historically what I've worn a lot. Now this one's relatively new, so I haven't worn this one a ton for spring, but it is one that I'm really looking forward to putting on and wearing a lot. It's actually one of my favorite Invictus releases, and you know, I would take this over things like Legend and you know, the I don't know, Intense, got things like Platinum and you know, the original, of course. And there is some sweetness, but it's nowhere near as sweet and bubblegummy as the original and maybe a few of the others. It's nowhere near as sweet as Victory and Victory Elixir, which I like those, but just not for spring. The new Invictus Aqua 2024, I think is still on discounters right now. And if it still is for my summer list, it'll definitely be in there. But for that, it is more of a summer scent in my opinion, whereas I see this one as a better fit for spring when you have those wide fluctuations of cold and a bit warmer. I just think this one can really hold up during that time of year. At number 9, we have a kind of a longtime favorite of mine. It's L'Homme Le Parfum. You know, this one, it's always been kind of in the shadows a little bit because it never took off like a lot of the others. And really, when you look at it, you've got La Nuit de L'Homme and Bleu Electrique, kind of those two is driving all of the popularity for the La Nuit de L'Homme line. And then for L'Homme, I mean, did we really have any that took off a ton? Maybe Libre or Libre. And then they discontinued that one not long after it started to really catch some traction. And other than that, the L'Homme line has been pretty quiet. Never really had any major hype beasts in there. I really like the Eau de Parfum. That's maybe more fall for me. But the Le Parfum here is one that I thoroughly enjoy for spring. And I'll also even wear this one into summer sometimes. Maybe a bit of a cooler summer day or cloudy or something. And the way I describe this one, it's very simple. It's the original L'Homme, that gentleman's classic smell, mixed with a little bit of Eau de Parfum. And obviously coming from the same brand here, so that's not too far of a reach. You know, it's taking some of that modernized blue fragrance smell mixed with some of that more classic gentleman kind of ginger, apple, spicy, woody smell of the original L'Homme. And I think it's fantastic. It's around $80 for 100 ml on discounters, which isn't all that bad. And I just think it's well worth it. It's a favorite of mine. And this is one I've had for quite a while. I mean, ever since it first came out, I think it's really good. Valentino, born in Roma. This is Rockstud Noir. This line, man, it's just getting out of control. They've got so many. I mean, really, that could be said for a lot of these designer brands. You know, but this one is no exception. They've got quite a few. I think they've already released a new one, if not this year. It was definitely end of last year. It gets hard to keep up with. And so you can take your pick, and really a lot of them, I think, would work for spring. The Born in Romas and even some of the others. They're a little bit aromatic, kind of following that trend with the sage and everything. And they do also have a little bit of a sweet touch as well, which works for those cooler spring days. In particular, this one has bergamot, sage, and ambergris, most likely ambroxan. So you can see there, just by those 3 notes, which are the only ones they give you, it's got a nice aromatic base with a little bit of a bright ambroxan touch off the top. I'll give this one a spray. It's really nice. It was one that I wasn't planning on featuring at first, but it kind of jumped out at me when I was down here planning. And then picked it up and I sprayed it again. I'm like, you know what? This is a lot better than what I remembered it to be. You know, sometimes that happens. You know, you might buy something and it might not be all that great to you in the moment, but if you set it down and you come back to it a few months later, you could be surprised, man. You would be glad that you didn't get rid of it or sell it or give it away, because you might end up liking it. And that's kind of what happened here. I think this could be a great spring scent. Number 7, this one's, it ended up being a little bit lower than what I thought. Again, depending on the day, depending on the time, depending on the weather, right? This one could jump from number 7 up to number 2 or 3, and maybe this one will end up getting worn by me a lot more than what I'm forecasting here based off of the order of this list. But it's Paradise Garden by Jean Paul Gaultier. Now, I would have featured Flower Edition, okay? I think that stuff's fantastic. I could easily see that one being the next big hit, right? Kind of following up a Paradise Garden here as far as their fresh offerings go. It's great, but it's sold out right now. I think they said on their website it's expected to return by summertime, which is a good time to bring it back. And again, if it was in stock right now, I probably would have thrown that one in, because I think I almost might like it a little bit better than Paradise Garden. But Paradise Garden, make no mistake, is phenomenal. It's got a nice coconut, green, minty freshness, and the coconut's providing some sweetness, a little bit of that pineapple touch as well. This is simply just, it's Le Beau Le Parfum, but done right. And what I mean by that is, Le Beau Le Parfum and even the original Le Beau, they're pretty sweet, and they can be a bit much to pull off when it's warm out. The green aromatic facets of this one, though, it makes so much more sense, and it is phenomenal for spring. You could easily wear this one into summer as well. It all just depends on kind of what your tolerance is, so to speak, as far as sweeter leaning scents and heat. But again, this one's fresher than those, so this one could work great as well. But I like the green. I mean, literally, the color, this is probably one of the best looking bottles and colorations within the line. It looks beautiful. I mean, this stuff, it's starting to stabilize on discounters now where it's not over retail. You can get it under retail. I definitely check it out. Let's go for a couple elixirs up next. So this would be number 6. It's a Ralph's Club Elixir. Just kind of a easygoing, no thought required type of scent. This is kind of like if you're heading out the door and you're running late and you just got to grab something and go. You don't have time to sit down and really think it over. Ralph's Club Elixir. Have this one sitting right there on your nightstand. You know, flick that cap back, give it a couple sprays, and you're out the door. You know, it could work for anything. Formal, casual, spring, could wear it summer. And of course, I mean, it's something this easy and fresh and aromatic would work fine in fall and winter, but there are better options. But it's just kind of, it's a no-brainer. You know, it's an everyday beater type of scent, so to speak. And again, with this one, it's an elixir. It's, what is that, probably a 75 ml bottle, so they're kind of following that trend. But the price has come down a ton on discounters to where it's pretty reasonable now. And you guys are familiar with the Ralph's Club lineup, and it's very similar, no surprise. But compared to all of them, it's going to be the most mature and the most refined, in my opinion. I think they did a great job with this one. At number 5, so I had a really quick, I wouldn't say quick, it's been a while since I did my first impressions, but I started spending a lot more time with it after, and that's the thing about first impressions. Should I even do them? You know, I still probably will, but, you know, the thing is, people, you know, you're okay to change your mind. You're okay to have a change of opinion on something, and so when I'm getting my first impressions off of something and I've had no time to think it over and I'm just on camera and then I upload it, and then maybe a month or two later I say that I like it, people just lose their minds and say, oh, you know, now you're getting paid to say you like it. Man, you're telling me nobody changes their minds on scents or anything in life? It's Acqua di Gio Elixir. And to be fair, I never said I disliked it. It was just, and maybe I still feel this way, it's not one that, I don't know, it fits in a weird way. It's not what I would expect when I see an elixir. You know, I would think of something that's even darker, maybe heavier and a bit sweeter than the Parfum, you know, but it's not. It goes away from that, right? It backtracks, and it's almost more like a Eau de Toilette Intense, or almost like an Eau Fresh. And it's very floral too. Just, again, not your usual elixir, you know, idea. It doesn't follow that footprint. And so still, it's kind of a weird one as far as where does it fit in, because the Parfum is going to be a huge heavy hitter for me always. So, you know, that's Profumo Parfum, same thing. It's my top favorite. But Profondo is right there behind it as far as a heavy use summer scent for me. And so this one I'm kind of going to sneak into spring here. And generally I do wear Profondo / Parfum in the summer more. And so I'll be wearing this one now because I do really like it a lot. And it's kind of similar in one way or another to the Eau de Parfum, kind of in terms of being more aromatic, but it doesn't necessarily smell like it. You could say it's similar in theory to a Senza, even though it doesn't smell like it. It's more or less just not quite as aquatic and minerally and fresh and watery as Profondo, and it's not quite as kind of smoky / dark as the Parfum / the OG Profumo. So it's just different, right? And the other thing, you know, and this is still, it rings true, although it's on discounters now, price is crazy because this is 50 ml. I thought it was going to be 75, but it's 50 ml. That's tiny. And, you know, it retails for a lot. Now, on discounters, it's been 50 ml for like 110, okay? What would that cost if you were buying this as a 100 ml? That's kind of what you had to put into your mind. You know, you would be paying 180, 190 bucks for 100 ml, maybe a little bit less depending on how much they discount that price there. But would you pay almost $200 for a 100 ml of Acqua di Gio? You know, you kind of got to think of it that way when you're making your decision. I've got it already, you know, I bought it at full retail, and so it's something that I'm starting to enjoy now after spending more time with it, and I'm going to wear it. At number 4, we have an OG. It's Allure Homme Sport by Chanel Extreme, I should say. Chanel Allure Homme Sport Extreme. I would say the original Sport, going to be more summery for me, and especially Edition Blanche. Summer all the way. That lemon with some of the sweetness and a little bit of that freshness. It's just killer for summertime, a summer gourmand. And the Extreme has also been worn by me in summertime, and it still works great. But for spring especially, I like this one. I would say it would be either this or the original Allure Homme, which nobody talks about, right? Nobody's talking about Chanel Allure Homme, which is where it all started. But that could work great at this time as well. I just prefer this because of the mint, that mint, orange, tonka. It smells amazing. And it's another one where, you know, typically when you wake up in the morning on a spring day, it's cold. And maybe you got a hoodie on. And then you get to where you're getting off of work or school, and now the sun's out, now it's kind of hot. This can really handle and hold up to those big temperature changes really well. At number 3, Y Eau de Parfum Intense. This is just pretty much kick the Eau de Parfum to the side for me. Now, I still have it, of course, and I still like it, and I will still wear it from time to time. But it's more or less like I feel like I just have to make myself wear it because I have this, if that makes sense. Like if you took away my Eau de Parfum, there's probably a good chance I probably just wouldn't buy it again, you know, because I have this one. And it's just, to me, it's more appealing. I love the Eau de Parfum. I love the sweet apple. But one of the things that I sometimes don't like about the Eau de Parfum is the sweet apple. And they remove that here, and they really ramp up the geranium, the sage, just the aromatics in general. That's what they do. That's what they focus on with this one. And I just find myself reaching for it more. I find it to be a little bit more appealing, a little bit more versatile. Performance is still just as good, so you're not sacrificing that. And of course, quality is on par with all of the other Y scents. Price point is also stabilized to where it's about the same. So really the only thing that you have to decide on is just which one do you like the smell of better, because everything else essentially equals out. Great compliments still and everything else. And I think especially for spring, it's great because of the aromatics. You know, that's the key word in this video, aromatic, because spring is all about that for me. Green, aromatic, kind of earthy scents a little bit, which leads us into the number 2. It's Artisan Pure. You know, talk about something that is just green, leafy, smells like you're in a garden. It's got this petitgrain, neroli, crunchy leaves type of smell. Juicy and vibrant with some orange. It smells really, really nice. And it's just for what it is, for a $40 scent. It's super unique too. I mean, there's just nothing else out there like this, except for maybe like a, you know, a $200 Xerjoff. Sometimes people compare it to like a Xerjoff Neo / Kobe, depending on which way you're going there with the bergamot or the orange or whatever. And maybe it can fit into that or those categories a little bit, but it smells like an original. It doesn't really smell to me like they're ripping off something else. So, and a lot of people don't care, but that's just kind of how I look at it. I think it's kind of on its own here. And that's what I like about it. You know, if this was $100 bucks, $150 or something at discounter price, which is crazy, it never would be unless it got discontinued. But if it was, I wouldn't quite feel the same way about it. But the fact that you can get it for under $50 for 125 ml too, so you're getting a little bit extra, it's to me a no-brainer. And what could number one be? One that you might not expect to see at all, completely out of left field. But man, you know, after this winter, which was, I don't know, it was kind of it was kind of mild, although we did get some snow and there were some cold days, but it didn't seem horrible. When we started getting that spring warm up there, for some reason, this one jumped out at me and it reminded me, well, I started thinking about a scent that I wore years ago in spring. Let me just tell you what it is. It's Dior Homme Original as my number one. It's fresher than all of the others. The Parfum, the Intense, right? Obviously not fresher than the Sports, but you know, it's fresher, okay? And when we were starting to get that warm up, I was thinking a lot of Dior Homme O, and that's a favorite of mine, man. I love that stuff, and I've always loved it more than Prada L'Homme. That was the thing back then. It was Dior Homme O versus Prada L'Homme, and people were, you know, fighting to the death about it. I still love Dior Homme O. I like it better. You just can't buy it anymore. You haven't been able to. Now, this doesn't really smell like Dior Homme O. It doesn't have that coriander magic that it had, but it is substantially fresher than, obviously, the original and the Parfum and, you know, the new Parfum and the old Parfum, right? It's fresher. And you can get it for about $110 now on discounters. It's finally readily available for the most part. And it's a beauty. Nice, soapy and creamy iris here. And it's really well done, really refined. Now, this wouldn't be my first choice for kind of a 75, 80 degree sunny spring day, you know, because we do have those here. It's really weird. It's kind of summer at that point, even though it's April, right? We do have that. This would be more my like cloudy, maybe gloomy, slightly rainy spring day, you know, just kind of what you would usually expect from spring. A little bit more classy, a little bit more refined than a lot of these others, but it also doesn't follow the same footprint of being overly aromatic or green or fresh or anything like that. It's a little bit different, but that's kind of why I chose it. And I can just see myself really going through this stuff here coming up. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. My top 10 spring designer fragrances for 2025. These are just kind of what I'm looking forward to wearing, and also historically some of them what I have worn a lot in the past. So I want to hear from you down below. What are some of your favorite spring scents? What are you going to be wearing? What have you been wearing? Also, I will link everything down below to discounters. Make it really easy for you to pick these up if you want to do some shopping. We do sell samples on our website as well. No obligation. You know, you can check it out, and if you don't like it, you know, you can shop somewhere else. But that is an option for you if you want to do some sampling. We do have a few of these on there you can try before you buy. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.